Hey guys, off the top rope here, off the mic sports network. So I was thinking about this. A lot of reporting is coming out of Revolution from Sunday in regards to why we got the finish that we did. In terms of John Moxley retaining the AEW World Title, Adam Copeland not getting pinned, just a lot of things that were really strange about the end of that show. Um, and I was thinking about this. If you're a WWE seemingly legend and you go over there to AEW, your credibility has almost instantly vanished. And I hate saying this because I love him to death. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Well, I could also say this about a couple of people in there. Um, but the most recent example of this is Adam Copeland, Cope, or better known as Edge. This guy has been pinned in a singles contest, I believe, once, and it was only by his best friend Christian. Adam's been there since October of 2023. It's almost 2 years. Only been pinned by one guy in a singles match, and I think he got pinned by Malachi Black in a six man. Okay, big deal. But yeah, he hasn't put anybody over, and that's a big reason why he claimed he wanted to help. They didn't have anything for him, and he had not put a lot of people over at the end of his time there in WWE, and I think it was a respect thing because he'd been there for 25 years. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, and he earned his just due. Like, I mean, he didn't put over Finn Balor, and I didn't really think much of it, but now I'm starting to think of it. I'm like, okay, that was odd what happened at the end of the show. All right, then you go Mercedes Moné. Mercedes Moné showed up last year. She's put next to nobody over. I don't think she's even been pinned or submitted since she got there. I mean, she beats Willow Nightingale, who had a month-long title reign with the TBS title. That was the initial point where I was like, what are we doing here? This was just and what has happened with her is just it's an exercise in ego and her credibility and her ability to get and her I'm not going to say overness because that's not even a word, but her viability as a top star. Like, people don't care. People don't care. And then and then there's a couple more here. Another example, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho walked into the door as the biggest signing that maybe that company has ever had. And he was fine with the inner circle. Since the Jericho Appreciation Society, this guy has become a joke, a utter joke. And this guy, I at one point thought was one of the greatest of all time. But some of the damage to his legacy has been, there's a big stain on it because of a lot of the stuff specifically that he's done in the last 3 years. Mercedes Moné, really, her entire AEW run has been ridiculous. And then there's at the top of this list, I mean, it's not really a list, but John Moxley. John Moxley is probably the biggest high profile, defection from WWE to AEW. He's the longest, he has more title runs than more AEW title runs than anybody in this company. And I guess you couldn't say he's a legend, but he's one of those defectors who's, their legacy, like, he was thought to be on the same level as Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And so now, like, he was fine through a lot of his run early with, the stuff that he did by himself. And then with the early title runs, he kind of salvaged a lot of what was going on in AEW through all the CM Punk stuff, and got them to the next point, got them to the MJF title run. But whatever the hell this run is with the Death Riders, this has been just the antithesis of entertaining. Like, it is not good. And to me, it has done, I'm not going to say irreparable harm, but it's done some significant damage to what we think of, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, in terms of how we evaluate him as a professional wrestler. It's like, people were like, oh man, we want to get the Shield back together. Oh man, we want to do this. We want to do that. Or, oh man, we want to get Chris Jericho into the Hall of Fame. Oh man, we want Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, or we want Edge to come back. Right at this point, AEW has put a stain on all of these people to the point of you don't want to see them back in WWE. And the only one of those people that is currently in the WWE Hall of Fame is Adam Copeland, Edge, because everybody thought his career was over. And, more power to him. He's been able to wrestle, and I give credit to, specifically Jericho and Copeland for having longevity in their careers. But the longer they go and the more this keeps going on, the less people are going to care. At least with Edge, the novelty's still there because he got hurt and he was able to come back and people are singing his entrance music. But if he doesn't start to put people over and he doesn't start to do like, what's good for the business, this is going to start looking worse and worse. Like the people that, because the best example of like the nostalgia and like, the novelty wearing off and going to AEW and really your credibility going down is Mercedes Moné. In a year, she has gone from the biggest star in the women's division to relatively irrelevant, like relatively irrelevant. And some people say, well, she's got 4 championships. Guys, let me ask you this. Do any of them matter? Has she done anything to help the women's division? No. So it's just, if you want to, like, the common denominator in all of these people that I've mentioned is all of them, hey, they got more money. They have a boss who's not going to tell them no. And, they could do whatever they want. They've got creative control. And it's just led to, general, I'm going to say, I guess apathy is kind of the right thing. Like these guys aren't, these guys and girls don't look as hungry as they should. I mean, whereas somebody like a Tony Storm, who's kind of like the outlier in jumping from WWE to AEW, she's one of the best in the world. I would put her up with a lot of people in the WWE women's division. Like she's outstanding. And she had to reset herself multiple times in the Outcast and then as Timeless Tony Storm. And she gave us one of the best rivalries in the history of women's wrestling with Mariah May. And we'll see, what comes from the AEW women's division with Tony Storm at the top of it. But I'll be honest with you, it's just like most of the WWE people that have defected over there, their careers have gone to die or their legacies have taken a significant hit. And it's a common thing because Tony Khan just is living in the past. And it's like, letting these people do whatever they want. And it's like, you're not going to tell one of your heroes no. And it's a big problem. It's a big problem with AEW. And until they get it fixed, there's no telling like how much more damage these people are going to get because Chris Jericho, people want him to go away. Adam Copeland, at least it's still there. Mercedes Moné is in the same vein as that. And John Moxley speaks for itself. A lot of it has to do with this existing character, but people are tired of him. It's just that people are tired of him. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. We'll have a lot more coming here on the channel. Anyway, I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.